You know, when I was about 24 years old, and I came here to the DMV area in 1988, I was stationed in at Fort Myers, Virginia, and I used to watch news a lot when I was very young, and I continued that tradition well into my 20s at the time. I was my local news station at the time when I lived at home was Channel 3 WKYC, so I'm giving a big shout out to them up in Cleveland. And there was a young woman at the time who started out their career there, a woman named Doreen Gensler. She later, when I came down here in '88, was working for NBC4 Washington. And then I later found out she was originally from down here. I think she lived out in Virginia. She grew up in Virginia. Well, anyway, so I watched News 4, and there was this gentleman, his brother, and you could tell he had a lot of swagger, named Jim Vance. I watched him for many years. He was very opinionated on a lot of news of the day. And at the time, there weren't any major newscasters in the area, at least that was as popular or as bigger than him at the time. Well, fast forward to 2017. Today, July 22nd, Jim Vance, who had been a pioneer as a black broadcaster since 1969, passed away today at the age of 75. He was a big influence on my life as far as the kind of guy he was, with the swagger that he had. He was very opinionated. And you could tell he was charming, charismatic, and everything else. I mean, and he was larger than life. And you could tell he enjoyed life. He enjoyed the area. He originally was from Philadelphia. But you could tell he was as much of a local in D.C. as he was from his hometown. Jim Vance was as big of a name in D.C. as Marion Barry was, who my understanding he had close ties to throughout the years of Barry's tenure. What I'm going to briefly talk about is not how he suffered, because at this point, how he suffered at this point doesn't matter anymore. He's no longer among the living anymore, but he's among the heavenly. You know, yes, I mean, true enough, he did suffer. I mean, I don't know how bad he suffered when he passed away, but yes, he was suffering. But I don't want to talk about the suffering. I want to talk about what he did to uplift the people of D.C. and myself. And you can tell he was the kind of guy who, like I said, he had the swagger. He was charismatic. He embodied television like he was your neighbor. Friday nights. That's a true story. I'm trying to remember the sound. Oh, it was the Sounds of Philadelphia. I think it was the music they used to play the end of Channel 4 at 6 o'clock and 11 o'clock. Man, I couldn't even go out to the club unless I actually watched News 4 because Jim Vance was doing the newscast on Friday nights. Man, I was excited about that because I knew my weekend started by watching News 4. I watched News 4 just because of Jim Vance, because of the kind of guy he was, and his presentation of the news. You know, and he gave it to you straight with no chaser. You know, this is a brother that covered events. He was well liked by people all over. I actually knew about Jim Vance when I lived in Cleveland. I used to see some of his reports that NBC4 Washington, which is WRC, used to broadcast across the country, including his longtime pal, the also departed George Michael, who I was also a big fan of. I knew about George Michael back in the 70s with the Sports Machine, so I'm very familiar with Channel 4 as a program from the time I was a kid, and I lived in Cleveland. So, but I've always respected Jim Vance as a man. I felt he was like a mentor to me, man. You know, and he is a television icon, a pioneer in DC television newscast. Although I lived here since '88, but he had a big influence on me at the age of 24, and still does at the age of 52. You know, he was recently honored at Ben's Chili Bowl. They actually put a mural of Jim Vance likeness on the side of the wall that's famous, synonymous with other famous people of DC culture, like Donnie Simpson and Dave Chappelle, and Dick Gregory, among others. Wow. You know you truly have made it when you made it on the side of Ben's Chili Bowl's mural. Oh, snap. Well, guys, I think I better cut it short now. You can hear that thunder out there. And it's serious. But to the family of Jim Vance, I want to say I'm sending my condolences to you guys. This is a guy who influenced me to hold my head up high as a black man. And he made me proud to be black. And will always continue to do so forever in my heart. This is DJ Wolf. I'm out.